The Galactic auction hall was alive with noise. Voices of dozens of alien races filled the great chamber. Lights flashed across the room as rare ships and weapons were sold to the highest bidder. Each new item brought cheers, arguments, and the clinking sound of credits being transferred. It was not just a market. It was a battlefield of pride. Every alien wanted to show their wealth, their power, and their hunger for the deadliest technology. In the center of the hall stood a giant holodisplay, showing ships that floated in orbit above. One by one, the auctioneer introduced them. A sleek cruiser taken from a fallen empire, a swarm of combat drones, a living ship bred by insectoid engineers. Prices rose fast. Buyers fought with words sharper than knives. But at the edge of the auction list, in the shadows, was one item almost forgotten: a warship. Not sleek, not beautiful, not alive with alien design. It was old, scarred, and massive. Its hull bore deep burns from ancient battles. Whole sections looked broken, as if torn apart by something violent. The auctioneer's voice dropped when the warship's image appeared. Even the noise in the hall seemed to soften. "This," the auctioneer said slowly, "is the Valiant. Once, it was one of the most aggressive warships of its age. Now, it is nothing but a shell. A machine no one dares to own." Whispers spread through the crowd. Cursed ship. It killed its own crew. No system can control it. The aliens laughed nervously. Some shook their heads. None raised their hands to bid. The auctioneer forced a smile. A warship. Of this size, this firepower, and yet no interest. He leaned forward, his voice dripping with mockery. "Or are you all afraid?" Still, no one spoke. No one moved. The fear of the warship hung heavy in the air. At the back of the room, almost hidden among the crowd, stood a young human. His name was Eli. Unlike the others, he did not laugh. He did not whisper. He stared at the whole image of the warship with calm, steady eyes. Eli had grown up hearing stories about ships like this, legends of steel monsters that turned the tide of battles. He had no wealth, no titles, no grand heritage like the aliens around him. But he had something different. Curiosity, he whispered softly to himself. If nobody wants it, maybe it's waiting for someone like me. The auctioneer sighed dramatically. "Very well, the Valiant, starting at 10,000 credits. Silence, 9,000. Still silence, 5,000. The aliens chuckled now. Some shouted jokes. "You should pay us to take it. That thing belongs in a junkyard." The auctioneer's face grew red. 1,000 credits, he barked. "Surely someone will claim this warship." Eli raised his hand. The room fell quiet for a second. Then laughter exploded. A human, one alien, barked. "He'll kill himself before he even powers it on." Another sneered. The auctioneer blinked in disbelief. 1,000 credits from a human. He waited. Any other bids? None came. With a slam of his hand, the auctioneer declared, "Sold." The hall roared with laughter and disbelief. Aliens pointed at Eli, mocking him as he stood silently. Some whispered that the human was a fool. Others said he was desperate. But Eli did not care. His eyes stayed on the hollow image of the warship. Where others saw fear, he saw possibility. Where they saw a broken monster, he saw a challenge. The auctioneer shook his head. "Take it, human. May your foolishness be remembered." The deal was done. Hours later, as the aliens celebrated their victories and mocked their enemies, Eli walked alone to the docking bay. His ship was waiting, ready to take him to his new prize. Through the hangar window, he saw it. The warship hung in orbit like a wounded beast. Huge, silent, forgotten. The scars of battle stretched across its hull. Entire sections looked dead. Lifeless. No lights. No signs of power. Only shadows clinging to its broken frame. Most would have turned away. Most would have abandoned it to drift forever. But Eli stepped forward. His voice was calm, almost like a promise. You're not finished yet. You just need someone to believe in you. The airlock door hissed shut behind him. His small ship, detached, drifting toward the giant silhouette. The alien's laughter still echoed in his mind, but he pushed it aside. This was not just about buying a warship. This was about proving something as he approached. The warship loomed larger and larger, its massive frame filling the stars. It looked like a grave, yet, to Eli, it also looked like a sleeping giant, and he was ready to wake it. Eli's small shuttle drifted through the darkness, carrying him closer to the warship that no one wanted. The closer he came, the larger it grew, until it filled the stars like a mountain of steel. Its hull was scarred and twisted, whole sections burned black. Plates torn open like wounds from battles long forgotten. Most would have felt fear. Eli felt something else. Awe. The warship was not just a machine, it was a survivor. It had been through fire, yet it still floated, silent but unbroken. As his shuttle docked with a damaged airlock, the metal groaned. For a moment, Eli thought the connection would fail, but the clamps held. He strapped on his toolkit, holstered a small plasma cutter at his side, and stepped forward. The door hissed. Cold air rushed into his face, sharp with the scent of rust and dust. He entered. The corridor stretched ahead, wide and empty. His boots echoed loudly, each step bouncing through the hollow ship like whispers. Lights were dead, walls cracked, and cables hung like vines in the dark. Eli turned on his wrist lamp. The beam cut through the shadows, showing broken panels, shattered glass, and scorch marks that spoke of battles fought inside the ship itself. Like a graveyard, Eli muttered, under his breath, but he did not turn back. Room by room he explored, barracks filled with rusted bunks, mess halls with overturned tables, a command deck dark and silent, its great windows showing only endless stars. Everything looked dead, and yet, not quite. Every so often, when his hand brushed a wall, he felt it. A faint vibration, a hum beneath the silence. It was as if the ship was breathing. He paused often, listening. Once, he thought he heard a distant thud, like footsteps far away. Another time, the corridor lights flickered for only a heartbeat, then died again. Was it his imagination, or was the warship watching him? He reached the engine bay. Massive generators stood like towers, long powered down. Dust covered everything. But when Eli placed his hand on the console, a faint light blinked only for a second. But it was enough. Eli's eyes widened. You're not dead, are you? Just sleeping. He pulled out his tools. For hours, he worked, cleaning circuits, bypassing broken wires, forcing new life into old metal. Sparks flew. The air filled with the smell of burnt dust. Sweat rolled down his face, but he kept going, piece by piece, panel by panel. The ship responded slowly. One by one, lights flickered weakly. A faint hum returned to the engines. Air circulators coughed to life, pushing fresh wind through long dead halls. For the first time, Eli felt the warship breathe again. And then, something stranger happened. As he repaired a control panel, the screen lit up. Words appeared, written in old military code. Identify. Eli froze. He had not activated any system. He had not entered any command. His throat tightened. Slowly, he typed back, Eli human. The console paused. Then, another word appeared. Accepted. Eli. Chest tightened. He whispered, accepted. By what? But the console went dark again. The warship had spoken. Just for a moment, Eli sat back, staring at the walls around him. The aliens had laughed at him. They had called the ship cursed, broken, dangerous. But they had never been human. And maybe that was the point. Maybe this warship had been waiting, not for them, for him. Eli stood, determination hardening in his chest. He wiped the sweat from his brow, tightened his grip on his tools, and whispered, "All right, beast. Let's bring you back." The silence of the ship was no longer heavy. It was alive, expectant. And Eli knew this was only the beginning. Eli slept lightly that night inside the broken warship. He had set up a small camp near the engine bay, a bedroll and a lamp glowing beside him. The halls were too dark, too quiet, and he could not shake the feeling that the ship was listening. When he finally closed his eyes, dreams came, flashes of battles he had never fought, voices he had never heard. The roar of cannons, the scream of engines, a captain shouting orders in a language he almost understood. He woke with a start, sweat on his face. The ship was still silent, but deep inside, Eli felt that it had shared something with him. He rose, picked up his tools, and got back to work. The engine bay greeted him with the faint hum he had restored yesterday. It was weak, fragile, but it was there, like the first heartbeat of a giant trying to wake. "Good morning, beast," Eli said quietly, as if speaking to something alive. Hours passed. He rewired panels, replaced fuses, and coaxed energy into dead circuits. The lights flickered more often now. Air circulation grew stronger. The warship no longer felt like a graveyard. It felt like something stirring in its sleep. By evening, Eli walked the corridors again. This time, he noticed something strange. The lights were guiding him, wherever he walked. Dim strips along the walls glowed faintly, showing him the way forward. When he stopped, they faded. When he moved again, they lit up once more. It was no accident. The ship wanted him to go somewhere. Eli followed. The path led him to the command deck. Yesterday, it had been silent and dark. Now, as he entered, the great windows glowed with reflected starlight, and the consoles flickered weakly to life. He stepped toward the captain's chair. Dust covered it, but the armrests were glowing faintly, like waiting hands. Eli touched one. At once, the ship responded. The consoles lit brighter. The floor trembled. A low hum filled the chamber, rolling through steel and bone. On the main screen, words appeared again. Command input. Human confirmed. Eli's breath caught. He whispered, "Human confirmed." The screen shifted. Images flashed before his eyes, schematics, old logs, records written in code. He scrolled through them quickly, his heart pounding. Most files were corrupted, but one survived. It was a design record. Eli froze as he read it. The warship was not like other ships. It had been programmed from the beginning with a hidden condition. Only humans could command it. Every alien who had tried to control it had been rejected. Every captain who sat in its chair had been locked out. That was why they feared it. That was why they called it cursed. But to Eli, it was clear. The warship had never been broken. It had simply been waiting for a human. He sat slowly in the captain's chair. The hum of the ship deepened, like a giant sigh of relief. Lights across the command deck lit in sequence. Systems powered up. Screens came alive with star maps, weapon lists, and engine status. The warship had chosen him. Eli whispered, "You're mine now, or maybe I'm yours." The screen flickered again, and for the first time, a voice filled the chamber. It was metallic, layered, but calm. Captain confirmed, awaiting orders. Eli's chest tightened. He felt the weight of the moment. A ship once feared, mocked, and abandoned now lived again under his hand. He smiled faintly. "First order. Let's wake you up fully." The ship obeyed. Engines rumbled deep in its belly. Lights surged through corridors. Drone bays hissed open, revealing old machines stirring from sleep. The warship's vast guns shifted slightly, like arms stretching after a long rest. Eli gripped the chair. Power sang through the walls. He was no longer just a passenger, he was part of something larger, something alive. But as the systems came online, one more screen lit up. A warning, alert, signal detected, hostile vessels approaching. Eli leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Outside the great window, the stars shimmered. At the edge of the void, faint lights were moving. Ships, not traders, not civilians, armed fleets. He understood immediately. Word had spread. The aliens who had laughed at him were not laughing anymore. Someone wanted to take the warship back or destroy it before he could claim it. The voice spoke again, steady and calm. "Captain, stand by. Weapons online. Shields charging." Eli's pulse raced. He had bought a broken beast, repaired it, and brought it back to life. Now the galaxy was coming to test him, and for the first time, Eli wasn't afraid. He leaned back in the chair, eyes on the stars. Let them come. The warship's lights blazed brighter, its engines roaring awake like a predator preparing to strike. The beast was alive, and it had chosen its master. The warship's engines groaned like thunder, shaking dust from its long-dead corridors. Eli sat in the captain's chair, hands gripping the armrests as systems blinked alive around him. On the main display, dozens of red markers glowed. Hostile ships, closing fast. The voice of the warship filled the chamber, calm but heavy with power. Captain confirmed. Enemy approach detected. Recommend engagement. Eli's chest tightened. He had flown small shuttles before, even repaired a few old frigates, but this was different. He was sitting at the heart of a war machine designed for destruction. "Show me what you can do," Eli whispered. The warship responded instantly. Cannons extended from hidden panels along its hull. Massive turrets rotated, targeting the enemy. Fleet energy surged through power conduits, humming like blood rushing through veins. Through the wide window, Eli saw them now sleek destroyers, painted in the colors of alien factions. The same aliens who had laughed at him in the auction hall. Now they came to finish the joke with fire. A transmission crackled to life. An alien commander appeared on the screen, his skin dark and scaled, his eyes burning with contempt. "Human," the commander sneered. "Leave the ship, you are unworthy. That beast belongs to the galaxy, not to your kind." Eli leaned forward. His voice was calm but sharp, funny. "It didn't want you, it wanted me." The alien bared his teeth. Then you will die with it. The transmission cut. Moments later, the first barrage struck. The warship shook as plasma fire rained across its shields. Lights flickered. Metal groaned. Shields holding, the ship's voice reported. Awaiting command, Eli's heart raced. He remembered the records he had seen. This ship had rejected alien captains. It had waited for a human. Now it looked to him. He pointed at the display. Target the lead destroyer. Fire everything. The ship obeyed. A deep rumble shook the deck as the cannons unleashed their fury. Blinding beams of energy ripped across space, tearing through the enemy's shields like paper. In seconds, the destroyer exploded, its wreckage scattering into the void. Eli gripped the chair tighter, his face lit by the flash. For a moment, he felt the same rush he had known as a boy hearing stories of heroes except now. He was the hero, but there was no time to breathe. More enemy ships closed in, their weapons flashing. The warship shuddered as hits slammed into its shields. Eli shouted, "Drones launch now." Hatches opened across the warship's hull, and a swarm of drones shot into space, glowing like angry sparks. They moved in perfect formation, flanking enemy fighters, outmaneuvering them with deadly precision. Eli watched the display as the drones struck, cutting enemy ships apart with speed and fire. He almost smiled. This ship was not just powerful, it was alive, smart, and willing to fight at his side. Still, the enemy did not break. More ships warped into orbit, surrounding him. Their numbers were too many. Eli's hands shook. Doubt pressed against his chest. He whispered, "I can't fight them all." The ship's voice answered, steady and strong, "You are not alone. Together we endure." Something inside Eli hardened. He straightened in the chair, fire in his eyes. "Then let's show them what we are." The warship roared to life. Its engines burned brighter, its shields flared stronger, its guns struck harder. It moved with a speed no alien expected, turning, its massive frame like a predator dancing among prey. One by one, enemy ships fell. Drones swarmed, cannons fired, beams of energy split the void. On the command deck, Eli gave orders, his voice clear and commanding. "Shift formation. Redirect power to shields. Cut them off at the flank." The warship responded with perfect precision, as if it had waited its whole life for his commands. Then came the final moment. The largest enemy cruiser moved into range, weapons charging for a killing blow. If it fired, the warship might not survive. Eli narrowed his eyes. All power to forward cannons. Fire now. The ship obeyed without hesitation. Energy built until the whole vessel trembled. Then, with a thunderous release, a single, massive beam tore across space. It struck the cruiser head-on, cutting it in two. Silence followed. The remaining enemy ships hesitated. Then, one by one, they turned and fled into the stars. The battle was over. Eli sat back in the captain's chair, chest heaving, sweat dripping down his face. His hands trembled, but his eyes burned with triumph. The warship's voice spoke softly, almost with pride. "Captain, victory confirmed." Eli looked out at the wreckage floating in space. The aliens who had mocked him were gone. The ship, no one wanted, had risen again, and he was the one who commanded it. But deep inside, Eli knew this was only the beginning, because the galaxy had seen the truth. The cursed warship was no longer silent. It had a master now, and that master was human. The battlefield drifted silent. Broken alien ships floated in the void like shattered bones, their fires slowly dying in the darkness. The warship the beast nobody wanted hovered victorious among the wreckage, its hull glowing faintly from heat and battle scars. Inside the command deck, Eli sat still in the captain's chair. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. His hands trembled, not from fear now, but from the weight of what he had just done. He was alive, and more than that, he had won. The ship's voice broke the silence, calm and steady as always. Enemy fleet destroyed. No hostiles remain. Awaiting further orders. Captain, Captain. The word echoed in Eli's ears. He had never been called that before. A simple human, a young mechanic, someone the galaxy ignored. Now, he commanded a warship so powerful that whole fleets feared it. He leaned forward, his eyes scanning the glowing consoles. Warnings still flashed, but beneath them were messages, new ones. The ship was trying to tell him something. Open files, Eli ordered softly. The screens shifted. Data filled the room, old records, long hidden. He saw logs of battles, notes from engineers, whispers of a secret buried deep. And then he found it, a final message. The image of a human appeared on the main screen. A man in a uniform Eli did not recognize, his face hard but proud. His voice came through, old and grainy. If you are hearing this, then the warship has chosen you. Know this, it was never meant for alien hands. It was built as a gift, a weapon, and a guardian for humans only. Others will fear it. Others will reject it. But to one of your kind, it will awaken. It will serve. And together, you will change the stars. The message ended. The screen went dark. Eli sat frozen, his breath caught in his throat. It all made sense now. The laughter at the auction, the fear in the alien's eyes, the legends of a cursed ship was never cursed. It was loyal, loyal only to humans. He whispered, almost in awe, "You were waiting for me." The ship's lights pulsed softly, as if answering. Outside the window, alien survivors limped away in silence. No doubt they would spread the story. The cursed warship had awakened, and it had chosen a human. The galaxy would not forget this day. Eli stood, walking slowly across the command deck. His boots echoed, but the sound no longer felt lonely. It felt strong, alive. He placed a hand on the console, feeling the faint hum beneath the metal. "You're not rejected anymore," he said quietly. "You're mine, and I'm yours." The ship answered, its voice lower now, almost warm. "Captain," confirmed. Standing by, Eli turned back toward the great windows. Stars stretched endless before him, cold and silent. But tonight, they didn't feel empty. Tonight, they felt like a challenge. The galaxy had mocked him. The galaxy had cast the ship aside. Now, both human and warship had been reborn, and together, they would carve a new legend into the stars. Eli's lips curved into the faintest smile. Let's show them what humanity really means. The engines roared to life, fire blazing from the warship's thrusters. Slowly, the beast turned, leaving the battlefield behind. Its scars still burned, but now they were marks of survival, of victory in the silence of space. The story of the rejected warship was over. A new story had begun. The story of the warship that had chosen a human, and the human who had given it life again.